For over 2,000 years, he sat in the dark, not displayed, not admired, not explained, just sitting in the ground beneath Rome, waiting for someone to find him and ask the question he has been posing since the day he was made dot in 1885. Workers excavating the slopes of the Quirinal Hill in Rome pulled him from the earth. He was found alone, buried upright, as if he had been placed there deliberately rather than lost. His bronze surface was intact. His posture had not shifted. And when the excavators cleaned the soil from his face, they found an expression that no one who has stood in front of him since has been able to fully account for. He is the seated boxer, and he has been sitting in that position, head slightly turned, arms resting on his knees, body in the specific stillness of someone who has just stopped for somewhere between 2,000 and 2,300 years. The question of who he is, who made him, and what exactly he is doing in that chair has not been answered in the century and a half since he was found. The sculpture is bronze, cast in the Hellenistic period, most likely between the 3rd and 1st centuries BC, using a lost wax technique of extraordinary precision. It stands approximately 128 centimeters tall. The boxer sits on a low surface, his legs slightly apart, his forearms resting across his thighs in a posture that reads simultaneously as exhaustion and vigilance. He is not collapsed. He is resting with the particular alertness of someone who is not sure whether the rest is permanent. His face is turned slightly to the right, as if responding to something, a sound, a voice, a presence that is not in the room. His eyes are inlaid with a different material, now lost. That would have given them a liveliness the empty sockets no longer convey. The lips are slightly parted, and then there are the wounds. The nose has been broken more than once. The bridge deflects in a way that suggests repeated trauma, reset imperfectly, broken again. The ears are the cauliflowered mass of someone who has absorbed blows over years, the cartilage compressed and reformed so many times that the original shape is no longer recoverable. The cheekbone beneath the right eye carries a cut rendered in copper inlay against the bronze that is still open, still bleeding in the permanent present tense of sculpture. The sculptor who made this studied an actual boxer's body, not an idealized athletic form, a specific body with a specific history written into it. But this is where the story becomes stranger. The Hellenistic period, which produced the seated boxer, was a time of transition in Greek and Roman art, a movement away from the idealized, composed forms of the classical period towards something more individualized, more physically specific, more willing to engage with the body as it actually exists rather than as it ought to exist. Sculptures of athletes in the classical tradition showed perfected form, the body at its most capable, its most symmetrical, its most removed from the consequences of exertion. The seated boxer is the inverse of this tradition. Every element of the work is a consequence. The broken nose is the consequence of years of competition. The cauliflowered ears are the consequence of absorbed punishment. The open cut is the consequence of the specific fight that the sculpture appears to depict, or more precisely, the moment immediately after it. This is the first technical achievement that separates the seated boxer from everything that came before it. The sculptor was not depicting an athlete. He was depicting what athletics does to a body over time, and the deeper researchers looked at how he achieved this. The more questions appeared. The lost wax bronze casting technique, used to produce the seated boxer, required the sculptor to first build a full model in clay or wax. Invest it in a heat-resistant material, melt out the original model, and pour molten bronze into the void left behind. For a figure of this complexity, the surface detail of the wounds, the texture of the hair, the precise musculature of a body in a specific postural state, the technical demands of the casting process were extraordinary, but the wounds are not simply cast. The cut on the cheekbone and several other injuries are rendered in copper inlay, a separate metal, worked into the bronze surface after casting. That carries the reddish color of fresh blood against the darker tone of the surrounding bronze. This required the sculptor to plan the wound locations before casting, leave recesses in the bronze for the inlay, and then work the copper into those recesses with a precision that the surrounding surface did not disturb. Two different metals, two different processes, one unified illusion of a body that has just been hurt. The sculptor was not depicting wounds. He was constructing the appearance of wounds from materials that had never bled, using processes that had nothing to do with injury, and making the result indistinguishable at the level of immediate visual experience from the real thing. At first, this seems to be simply a matter of technical mastery. It isn't, because the wound inlay creates a problem that technical mastery alone cannot resolve. The copper reads as fresh, not as a wound that has been received and is healing, but as a wound in the present tense, still happening or just happened, the blood not yet dried. Combined with the posture of rest and the turned head and the expression that is not quite readable as any single emotion, the sculpture produces a temporal paradox. The boxer is resting, which implies the fight is over, but the wound is fresh, which implies the fight has just happened. And the head is turned towards something not in the room, which implies something is still unresolved. When is this moment? The sculpture will not commit to an answer. The art historian Andrew Stewart, writing on Hellenistic athletics, described the seated boxer as a work that seems to exist outside the normal sequence of before and after, a figure suspended not in a moment, but between moments, in the space where the outcome is known but not yet processed. This is psychologically precise in a way that the technical account of the work does not fully explain. The question of who commissioned the seated boxer has not been settled. Bronze sculptures of this scale in the Hellenistic world were not private objects. They were public monuments displayed in sanctuaries, gymnasiums, public spaces intended to communicate something beyond individual preference. But the seated boxer was found alone, buried with no inscription, no dedicatory text, no architectural context identifying where it originally stood. The boxer has no name. His opponent has no name. The fight he appears to have just completed has no recorded outcome. This anonymity is not typical of major Hellenistic bronze sculpture. Works of this quality were celebrated, attributed, ascribed by ancient writers. The seated boxer appears in none of these accounts. He was made, displayed somewhere, and then disappeared from the historical record before anyone wrote his name down. There is a second reading that the formal art, historical account does not absorb, and it begins with the direction of the turned head. He is looking at something, not downward in exhaustion, not forward in victory. He is looking to the side at something that was never there after he was buried, and that, in the sanctuary where he originally stood, would have been in that direction. Another sculpture, perhaps, an architectural element, a deity's altar, whatever it was, it is gone. And without it, the direction of his gaze is unanswerable. He is responding to something we cannot see, in a moment we cannot place, with an expression that does not resolve into any single readable emotion. The seated boxer has been in the Palazzo Massimo in Rome since the museum's opening in 1889. He sits in a room designed around him, lit carefully, the wounds visible from several meters away. Visitors circle him the way they circle a person who is doing something. They do not want to interrupt. No one who has stood in front of him has left with a complete account of what they were looking at. The technical achievement is undeniable. The emotional effect is undeniable. What connects them? What it was that the sculptor understood about this specific body in this specific moment that allowed him to fix it in bronze with this degree of precision is not something the tools of art history have fully recovered. He has been sitting in that position for over 2,000 years. The fight is over. The wound is still fresh. And the thing he is looking at, just outside the frame of what you can see, has been gone for longer than anyone can remember. The question he poses has not changed. Since the day he was made dot, it is still waiting for an answer.